All right, how's it going, beautiful people of Instagram? This is Jose Trujillo. Thank you so much for joining me today on this new art session. This is going to be super cool. I'm going to paint some lilacs. Some lilacs. Lilac flower. Let's see how this comes out. I'm sure it's going to be awesome because world's greatest living artist is about to do it, so. It's going to look super cool. Here we go. Let's do this. We can do it. We can do it. All right. Someone was asking me about the importance of drawing. I'm going to make a video just specifically for that. The importance of drawing and painting. I think it's a very good question. I don't see a lot of people really touching on it as much. Maybe the academic, classical approach to painting touches on that because it's extremely important, right? Even some painters have said, if you can't draw, you can't paint. Back in the day, especially with certain type of more realistic type of painting, right? You have to be able to understand anatomy and blah blah blah. And I think it's a very good question. Like I said, I'm gonna make a video on it to really go in depth. But I think that any type of drawing, any level, will serve you well in painting. I really do also believe that painting is regardless of what you do, it's a beast of its own. It's like a different thing to paint. You wouldn't approach it the same way. You could be I've seen some people that are extremely good at drawing and can't paint, and I've seen some people who paint very, very well and don't really have much classical training. I consider myself not a very good painter or drawer, for that matter, if that's a word. But I think I got what it takes to do my own stuff, whatever that is. So I think it's a really good, it's an important thing to draw. What I recommend people that have asked me similar questions is you want to be able to, whatever you do, you want to be able to practice it daily. So if you can't paint daily, you should sketch daily, draw something. It's so helpful. Just to be able to keep the movement going on. I think it's extremely helpful to keep the movement, the wrist, your wrist movement going on. I wouldn't change that for anything. It's just, it's so vital. It's vital, man. Keeping that movement happening daily, your daily practice, whatever that is. Some lilacs. Here we go. What color are lilacs? I think that they tend to dance around the purple and the blue. It just depends on how light is hitting them. I like using Phthalo Blue lately, just because I think you can go really dark and really light with it. It's so rich. I used to love using only French ultramarine because I like how when you went light with it, you sort of got this dreamy purple, almost like lilac purpley color with French ultramarine. You know, it's such a beautiful color. But I'm going a little darker sometimes with colors, so I'm enjoying Phthalo Blue lately. Doesn't really matter, I mean, whatever. Some people get stuck on that, you know, they get stuck on the color. To me, it doesn't really matter. I think I just use it because I'm kind of used to it. But it's nothing to get stuck over. And the more you use the color too, the more you find awesome stuff about it. You know. So it doesn't really matter. It's like Picasso said, right? If I don't have pink or red, I'll use blue. It doesn't. He was trying to tell us, right? Don't get stuck in it. In a competitive way, because he wouldn't really tell us, right, directly. It was more like him talking about how great he was, as opposed to trying to shine some light for the rest of us to understand. Same thing when he talked about inspiration, right? He would say, "I believe in it, but it has to find you working." I think it's the same way. He was saying how much of a awesome artist he was, as opposed to here's a piece of bone, guys. You know, learn this. Don't get stuck on being, you know, perfectionism and that kind of shit. You know, don't get stuck on that. So there we go. I've also found that painting is to me anyways, it's a spiritual practice. It's like Groundhog Day. Those of you who haven't seen that movie, I recommend it. My wife told me about it for a long time, and I was like, I don't want to see it, until I heard a spiritual teacher talk about it. He's like, check out Groundhog Day. I went and I checked it out, and I was like, oh man, that's my life right there. Things will not get better until I accept what's happening that day. Until I'm okay with it. And then things start getting better. Same thing with painting. I found that painting doesn't get better. Those of you who have been in like an artist block or get stuck on something, I found that the reason that happens is because you don't want to be in front of it. You don't really. You're either trying to rush it, or you're upset about something that's not. You know, the bottom line is that you're not accepting what is. You're not accepting what is. So it creates a heavy amount of psychological pain. You know, oh, I wish I could paint better than what I'm doing. Well, you can't. I mean, you can, but not at this moment. At this moment, you have to accept where you are and move forward that way. You know, oh, I wish I could have this color. You know, if I had this color, if I had this easel or this, you know, blah blah blah, it would be better. Yes, but you can't do anything about it in this instant. You can walk towards it, you can run towards it, even if you want to, but you can't do anything about it in this exact instant. So you have to accept first where you are, where you're standing. That's a tricky thing to do. It's actually very painful to the mind because the mind wants to not accept that. It's a very painful thing. The mind doesn't want any of that. Doesn't want part of that. I think that's where painting becomes difficult. It's the only place really where painting is difficult. Is that we're not accepting what is. You want it to be something else. Either you set up an expectation, you don't match it, you don't meet it, and then, it becomes painful. It becomes very painful every time we don't meet our expectations. This has happened to me on and off for a long time now, and I'm beginning to understand it, play with it. There's days that I'm just flying through my artwork, and then there's days that it's just like this very difficult thing to do. And I found that the reason behind it, it was difficult to pinpoint what was happening, because you like to think that it's outside of you, so you're looking for reasons outside of you. Like I mentioned before, the consistency of the paint is not good enough. Oh no, the consistency of the paint, or I'm using the wrong oil, or I didn't primer my canvas correctly. Those of you who primer your canvases, or all sorts of things, and you think it's outside, but it's never outside. I mean, some of those things play into it, but it's never that. It's you. It always starts and ends with you. The reason why things don't work is because we don't want to be in front of them. We actually don't want to be there. The reason why relationships don't work is probably the same thing. You don't want to be there. And it's the same thing with I found that the same thing with artwork. If it's not working, it's because I'm avoiding being there. And it's not that you can't be there. You can switch in a second. All you have to do is accept that things are not the way they are, not the way you want them to be, and then and it's something else. It's like a different energy comes in. Things start to make sense. You know where to place the color. No one needs to tell you. All of a sudden, you start flying through it. You get into what athletes call the zone. The right action. I've heard a spiritual teacher call it right action. Things start happening correctly, without much mental intervention. This I found it to be the holy grail of creating artwork. When you start allowing things to be as they are. The color's not working, it's fine. I'm not being fast, then be slow. I don't feel like painting today, then don't feel like painting today. If you have to do it, but don't feel like it. You don't have to feel like painting. It's sort of like just accepting that the conditions don't necessarily meet my mental construct of them. The conditions are not, I really compare painting, I said this before, but I really compare painting because it's such a person, you're always fighting against yourself or competing against yourself. I really find it a high performance sport. I think at some point it was considered an Olympic game. I can see why. Long time ago. I can see why. You're really you're really working to better yourself. Thank you so much, Patrick. You're really working to better yourself. I think it's a high performance. I compare it to high performance activity. To like a very fast-paced, sport. Anything that fencing, playing basketball, football, anything, because it's a mental thing. It really has to do with emotional intelligence. That's the bottom line. And if we don't work towards towards creating a strong sense of self, it's really emotional intelligence. We have trouble creating artwork. That's why you always see the moody artist one of my beliefs that we see the moody artists or the emo artists, we would see that with athletes. But the reason we don't see that with athletes is that athletes get coached. They get they're put in line, by a high performance coach. The higher, the sport, the demand for them to perform, the stronger the coach. We see that also with Army Rangers and Navy SEALs and high performance people. They have people that help them get strong. The artists, you don't have that, and I think that that's why it's such a difficult industry to make it for many, because you don't have that. You have to figure out on your own. If you're good at playing basketball, all you really have to do, I think, in my humble opinion, is work as hard as you can to land a good coach, a good team or a good coach. But if you're a painter, you're a good painter, good luck. You're on your own. You have to figure out your emotional intelligence on your own. So the days that you don't feel like painting, you're gonna have to figure that out. Like if the basketball player doesn't feel like playing basketball, he's most likely his butt gets dragged by his coach. If the Army Ranger doesn't feel like waking up at 3-4 in the morning or whatever they need to do in order to train, he gets dragged. And I don't mean maybe not physically, maybe psychologically, but someone has to. Of course, it comes down to you, right? But you have a support system of people that hold you accountable. And I think that that's one of the mysteries of why artists, no matter how well you paint, no matter how great of an artist you are, you're going to have trouble because you don't have that support, or you don't develop that emotional intelligence, Thank you so much, Sierra. It's a lonely career. I mean, you are 90% of the time alone in front of your easel. I mean, when I record this, really what I'm doing is that I'm opening the windows. It's like if we're in a huge village and I open the windows and I say, "Hey guys, come and check me out. Come see me paint." Every time I do this Instagram lives, but it really is just a very lonely place. And every place is lonely. I'm sure that the football player or the basketball player or whatever, the golfer, when they need to train, they're on their own, right? But chances are that the more professional they are, they have someone making them accountable for every step. I think that anyone that does anything great in this world they have to have what it takes, of course, but either has a great mentor program, a great coach, or they have intense amount of self-discipline so that they're able to have that emotional intelligence in order to do the things they need to do on their own without anyone pushing them. And I really believe that is one of the reasons we have so many artists who they're great, but it doesn't go beyond that. It's like, and this is not just in artists. I think this is in actors, singers. I mean, not just visual artists, painters or sculptors. I think it's something that we have to kind of shine light on that and remind ourselves, hey, I'm not in I'm not in some program where someone's going to hold me accountable. What can I do? How can I raise my emotional intelligence and hold myself accountable in order to show up to the studio and create the artwork, whether my emotions are on par or are not, whether I want to do it or not. I'm sure that Beyonce, when she goes and performs, there's days that she's like, "F this, screw this. I don't want to be in front of all these people singing. I really just want to lay down, eat some ice cream, and watch TV." I'm sure that she has those days, but if she followed that, she wouldn't be Beyonce, right? Whatever artist, I mean, think of your favorite artist. If they made a name for themselves, they have a strong emotional intelligence. So here we are. I hope you guys have enjoyed this little segment here with me. My name is Jose Trujillo. I am the world's greatest living artist. Because, I mean, come on guys, I just am. If I don't say that, I can't wait for Mr. Big Gallery owner to tell me that, right? I gotta say that. I gotta own it. What type of goals do you set yourself to for yourself to keep yourself active and current? That is a great question. I love that. Sierra Simmons Gallery. I love that question. You know what I do? I really work daily on my goals. The very first thing that I do is that I write my goals down in the morning and every night. So I write them twice a day. I remind myself where I want to go. For example, I realize that the bigger the goal, the better it is. As it's counterintuitive to how we're really thinking, or we were raised to think for the most part. Don't set goals that are out of reach, because then you're gonna get disappointed and drop them. The way I'm thinking now, thanks to some business coaches and just books that I've read lately, is set them high, set them as high as possible. Because, it's sort of like reach for the moon and land on the stars, or the other way around. I don't know, something like that. But the bigger the goal, the juicier, the greater. Let's say that you want to be a great artist, right? And you want to exhibit everywhere. Set out a ridiculous goal. Set out a goal like it's ridiculous to think about it, but it's not. People have done it. I would set out a goal like I have a major art exhibit every month. 12 major art exhibits, a year. And if you don't land that, wouldn't it be at least good to have 2 or 3 major art exhibits a year, at the very least? So that's kind of the way I see it. Maybe you have 20 major art exhibits a year, and you only land 2 of those. That would be great. I mean, it really has to do with a mindset, a change of attitude. That's kind of how I look at it. This is one of the things that has allowed me to create vast numbers of artwork and continue to grow and change, and just mold and change my style, and not get stagnant, or not stay in one place. I tell myself I can create artwork. I can create more artwork than Picasso. This is one of the things that I tell myself. And whether people believe me or not, I do believe that I am creating at least more paintings than Picasso ever did. So I think that it's just projecting and putting a very difficult high goal. Kind of like Picasso used to say, I'm always doing things that I can't. That's how I get them done. That's another way of saying it. Picasso, it's one of Picasso's quotes. So there you guys have it. Hope you guys enjoy this. You guys can find me on YouTube as well. I have over 900 videos on YouTube. They're inspirational and, educational. Why not? I think I share some of the cool stuff that I've learned, and I don't mind sharing it to fellow artists. So there you guys have it. Thank you so much. These are Lilacs. I think that's how you pronounce them. Lilacs. One version of them, at least. Guys, have a wonderful day. I will be showing you guys different cool stuff that I do every day. And in hopes that maybe I get to inspire rather than impress. I know there's people that paint much better than me out there. This is not to impress anyone. It's maybe by doing this video, someone gets inspired and someone's like, yeah, I remember watching this guy's videos and I started painting again, or whatever. Thank you so much. Take care. Till next time, guys. Bye bye.